Okay. Hi, welcome to Music with Jake. I'm your host, Jake, and tonight with me I have the founder, the one and only Steve Maple, who is the founder of the Michigan Metal Fest. Fuck yeah. Hi, Steve.
How's it going, Jacob?
It's going, man. So we were just at a show this past weekend that was a total fucking banger that you totally helped set up, which was badass. Um, so I guess my first question is, what made you want to found this badass festival?
Um, you know, I used to do a lot of parties at my house a long time ago, man. When I was in New Skin, when the band first started, we started having some parties. Uh, it was to me, it was a way to. So the first one we threw was this housewarming party. For me, we were supposed to be moving into the um, this house over, I don't know, it's like a half an hour from here, but it was a really nice home. We were renting it, but for us it was like it was the nicest home we had lived in, and we were so excited about it. And we set up this housewarming party and planned a few bands for it. I think it was 4 or 5 bands. And it was crazy because we ended up having to push it back 2 months. We weren't able to move into the home. So we were kind of, throwing out this, house party idea, and we didn't really think too much of it. But then it became this thing where people had to wait another 2 months for it. So it kind of accidentally blew up, and we packed out my whole garage, driveway, yard. There were cars parked all up and down the road. It was like 150 people at this party. And I never had done anything like that really before. Um, I had hosted some shows here and there, and kind of done the band thing a little bit, but that was the first real sense of what we kind of could do. And then we started throwing these parties. We did 3 of them a year for a few years. Every party was like that. It was just like packed all the way, you know. So it started to get too packed, and it was kind of freaking me out a little bit being at my house, you know what I mean? So I was like, and I had people tell me like I wouldn't do that at my house, man. That's crazy. You're crazy. And I'm like, nah, man, it's fun, you know. But they were like American Pie kind of parties, you know what I mean? Like just fucking crazy, man. All kinds of shit was happening at them. The bands were crazy and fun. And it was always theme parties or a Halloween party, and it was just like just cracking, dude. So I had this idea that, why don't I like throw this in a field or something? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it's getting a little bit big for this house, so why don't I try to aim for a little bit more people even, let's let maybe, 300 or 400 people will show up to this thing. And so I made a post on Facebook and asked everybody, what would you think? And I chose this word negligently, I would say. I said, what would you guys think if I threw an outdoor festival? And it sounded a lot bigger coming out than what I really was thinking about when I was first thinking about this idea. So I got a huge response from that post, like bigger than anything I had gotten at that time. It was back in 2017. And to paint the picture a little bit more, it was after my wife and I had both lost a job at the same place,
Mhm.
and I started working for myself. That was when I started my landscape company, and it was with zero money and a shit fucking 1996 fucking Dodge rape van with no windows in it. It was some times, man. That's for sure. It was probably the lowest point in my life as far as I'd worked really hard to gain what I had, and so when I decided to do this, I actually had moved to another house. I started working for myself with no money, just started getting a little bit trickling in here and there. And I actually had dreams of being a full-time promoter at the
Mm.
time. And I'll tell you, that's a whole other conversation on how hard that is to do with everybody thinking it's a cool job to do. Well, it's
No,
not about how hard it is or not. It's that it's not a needed job to be filled anymore. We don't need 7 more promoters this week. I'm seeing a lot of that. But anyway, I was I got this huge response. I had 40 bands respond to me within a matter of hours. They're like, dude, I would love to play that. And I'm like, wow, and that number just kind of stuck in my head at that time. I'm like, 40 bands. Like I wasn't even thinking about nothing like that. I was thinking there'd be like 5, 10 bands that would be like, dude, that'd be dope. Let's do it. And every band from Michigan active hit me up. And then all kinds of stage hands, stage companies, vendors, a few small sponsor-ish type conversations were started. It was like this full circle thing from this one post. And it was really crazy, So I just really thought about it for like a few days, really hard, man, because I was like, well, I've got like a decision to make, actually several decisions to make right now. It's not something to take lightly. Um, if I would have known then what I know now, I can't even guarantee I would have taken that step then, to tell you the truth. I probably would have thrown some more larger events first. Just tried to really pack out places like the Music Factory, like
mm-hmm.
what I'm doing now. Right now is the point where someone should consider a festival when they're packing out a decent sized venue. Me packing out my party a couple of times, few times a year was notable and it was really cool. But responsibility wise, you need a lot more under your belt before you make that type of decision. You really need to know what you're doing and what you're in for. Otherwise, you're going to end up in a bad spot, or you're going to end up with a lot more anxiety in your life than what you want, man. It's really not a fun thing. The fun of the festival leaves when you're responsible for all the fires that potentially can happen. Be that as it may, it's a wonderful thing and it is fun. I do have fun intermittently at that event, but it's hard, man. It's hard on myself and some of our team, to make it through this all the way that whole day without any major hangups, and being when you're not a professional
Mm-hmm.
at this, you can't guarantee that. And that's where, after a number of years of doing it, I started to really truly feel the aspect that I had gotten very lucky for a number of years before I finally was a professional at it. I really did get lucky, and I got lucky to have such a network. Um, but there was a lot, there's a lot of luck that you need for that, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of persistence that you need for it. So I'm thankful that, we're able to blaze a trail by doing that. Are we the first ones to do it? No. Are we the last ones to do it? Absolutely not. Are we the most important ones to do it? Hell no. But we are very proud of where we've gotten. And I think that now, year 7, that we get it. You know what I mean? We really truly get it. And it feels good to know that this is what we got to do. It's not a question anymore. There used to be a lot of question as to organization and what do we do to keep all of this together and to repeat this next year without being a repeat of last year, and there's a lot that goes into every aspect of it. But I have one of my most asked questions is what's your advice for someone who wants to put on a festival? It's
I mean
don't.
that's definitely fair. I mean, I saw you working it last year. I was supposed to be there the year prior to photograph it. Well, unfortunately and fortunately, I ended up having a few bands that I worked with play Louder Than Life, so I was not able to make it.
Nice.
And some family stuff came up in between all that. So, but last year was killer, man. I mean, like your turnout was phenomenal, and to be able to put on the festivals that you put on at a great price, by the way. If anyone's wondering, the price is great. The festival is fucking awesome, and you can meet Steve wandering around the grounds. You'll definitely find him, and you'll find him in his little golf cart and whatnot, or you'll find him in the pit, which he does love being in there.
Or on the stage.
Or on the stage, yes, on the stage too. Because I saw you with New Skin last year, and now you have a new project. You want to inform everybody who that is or what that is?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, our new band is called Kill Crown. For anybody who hasn't heard about us, we are a deathcore slam death metal outfit out of Hastings, Michigan. We definitely thrive to play music that's not quite like anything else around. It's good, it's not too abstract, I guess I would say, as far as, not like anything else, but it's definitely its own thing, man. It's standalone, so I'm really proud of it. We are putting together a decent amount of dates for this year. I think we're scheduled out to September currently, um, with about one show a month.
That's
For
not bad,
Yeah,
actually.
we're not oversaturating. We're not touring into areas that aren't demanding us. We've been asked to play every show that we're going to, and we're not in one town twice. Besides Battle Creek, we're only in Battle Creek twice. Well, we're at the Music Factory twice the whole entire year. And for that being a place that I book and frequent often, I thought that was very conservative. I want to make sure that people really want to see us in our town and they don't just get a chance to do it all the time.
I can definitely agree with that. It seems to be going that way in the music industry, or seeing really that the venues become oversaturated with a certain band, and there's not enough time in between them playing for them to change up their set or anything like that. So it becomes very repetitive, and so the desire to go see them kind of falls to the wayward. So I think that spreading your shows out is actually a really good idea. Um, and it's cool. It's humble of you to actually only play a venue that you frequent a lot. Because I mean, I've seen you at the Music Factory almost every time I went, and honestly, I have never seen either of your bands perform there yet. So I mean, that's humbling. Because most people are like, oh yeah, I booked this venue, so I'm in a band. I'm gonna book my band. My band's gonna be on every show, and then people are just like, he's a dick, or he's
Yeah.
becoming pretentious or cocky, and I'm like, I like that's the way that you want to do things, and whatnot, because it's a very small area, Battle Creek and whatnot. I mean, the next city that has a decent venue is, well, it'd be either Kazoo or Kalamazoo, to all who don't know, or Grand Rapids, and that's really it. There used to be a place outside of Grand Rapids that I'm not a fan of, but I will keep that one to myself. Um, that was discussed in a previous podcast with Scott Hakes, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse. But it's been really cool just to kind of watch the festival grow, because I first moved to Michigan in late 2019, so that's when I found out about the Michigan Metal Fest and everything. And to see the increase in popularity and the bands that you've gotten is phenomenal, because I know putting on a festival is a pain in the ass. I mean, this is not my first go around. I have my hands in every part of the pie. I try and be involved in photography, photojournalism, doing what I'm doing now, band management, talent scouting, all that. And to see that not only do you get really big bands, but you give the opportunities to the smaller up and coming bands as well, which is really cool, because everyone kind of gets a little taste of everything. And the Metal Fest isn't just one genre, it's a whole, it's a whole sleuth of different genres of rock and metal and whatnot. And I really like that. The main stage last year was fucking badass. I mean, we ended it with Born of Osiris, but we had bands like Psycho Stick up there. Like, it was awesome. Like that's not stuff you usually get. Usually it's just like, oh, this is what we have. We're just gonna do this one genre, and you made sure to kind of give everyone a little piece of the pie, and that was really cool. And it ran so efficiently. Like it was super efficient. No injuries from what I caught or anything like that. Which I mean, when you have crowd surfers and you have giant mosh pits and you have super brutal music, it tends to happen that somebody would get hurt or someone would pass out from dehydration or something. You didn't have any of that. So that is definitely kudos to you and the Michigan Metal Fest committee, because that shit's fucking difficult, man, to
Yeah.
pull that off.
Those
So
guys work their asses off, man. I, yeah, there's not a day that I don't think about how fortunate we all are to have those guys around to care this much about the events that we're putting on. The fact of it is that this isn't for any one person. It never will be. It never has been. It's going to always be. I do Michigan Metal Fest because everybody really wants it. Like after the first few years, they were really tough, man. And then COVID hit. I really didn't want to do it again, to tell you the truth, man. That's not being negative. It was just that it was such a labor by myself. I was doing a lot. It wasn't totally by myself. I have Jeff as my partner, and I had other people who were helping a little bit here and there. But the main swing of everything was all composed by me over the whole winter. I just keep on working and keep working each section of it. And like, okay, I got the vendors figured out. I'd spend like a month just totally stressing over vendors and trying to lock everything in. And I'd do a month of, trying to do something with sponsors. I didn't know how to do all this and develop good relationships even because I was so stressed, trying to do it. Now having Jesse Dibble as my sponsorship rep, great friend of mine. Having, of course, Ashley as, or Carol, if you guys know her as Carol. Um, having her as my personal assistant and our VIP host and coordinator. She basically does everything. And anything that I do, Ashley does some of. So having these guys, everybody else in the committee, Bruce handles the vendors, which is something that is a huge job in itself. Merrick, and we've had Buffy do this as well, but the volunteer schedule, oh my God, there's no way that I could go more than 1 year of having to include that on top of my normal responsibilities for the fest as administrator. No, man. That was so crazy just trying to figure out that one job. Yeah, it's nuts, man. The amount of love, dedication, and just perseverance that these guys put into doing this, man. It's absolutely humbling.
I can imagine. Actually, someone recently gave you a shout out during one of my previous podcasts. I'm sure you are familiar with the Merch King, Bill Young of
Oh,
Cultus.
oh yeah,
Dude
man.
loves you. He told me a story about how he was just losing his ass. He was having a bad day. Cultus Black was playing the Music Factory. He was hangry. They were all tired and shit, and he needed help running merch, and you were running back and forth trying to help him do merch while he ate and all that shit. And he is super grateful to all the help that you gave him that night. So I thought I should inform you of that, which is a band that I'm really looking forward to seeing again. I am really glad that you were able to get them on the fest again, along with
Yeah.
Vorath, who just played.
Yes.
Awesome cats. Love those guys. I mean, just the whole lineup. It seems like everyone just clicks, and that's
Yeah.
hard to do. It's
Yeah.
hard to find like-minded individuals who want to play a festival in the blazing heat in the middle of the summer.
And they're
And
not all the same bands, like
no,
it's the most important thing is that you can't find one band on there that's like another band on there.
no. And for those who don't know, this year Michigan Metal Fest is bringing the Heavy Mushroom Head, who I have been dying to see forever. They were supposed to be on the Static X tour the last go around, not this one, but the last go around, and they weren't, and I was really sad about it. They dropped off, but hey, man, if you guys can, go check them out. Go check out this festival. It's gonna be fucking awesome.
Oh, here I got
Oh, you got the fucking flyers. Look at that. Mushroom Head, Head PE, Gideon, Filth, Traitors, Victims, Vorath, Cultist Black, Autumn Lies Buried, Blue Felix. Ooh, Casket Robbery. Gotta love those guys. I see My Own Will on there. I
yes.
see, is that Kill Crown on there too? Right next to My Own Will. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again, man. Like straight up the new iteration of the band. I can't really read the rest. Sorry, my eyesight's shit.
That's all right. Let's see here. Well, I got a few that I'm really happy to have on there. Dems Fighting Words.
Ooh,
These guys kill
okay.
it out of Chicago. Nailbite. Have you heard of them?
Yes, I know those kids. Actually, I met them on their first circuit tour with Danny Wimmer festivals. I was one of the people who helped vote them on.
Nice. Good
Yeah,
job.
dude, I love
They're a
those
good band.
kids.
They're good
Dude,
people. Um,
yes.
we got Quiescent Mantis. That's a group that is through EXSR. Um, when some of the sponsors that we work arrangements with them to where they can get some bands that they represent onto the festival. We don't do a lot of it because I'm very picky about making sure the lineup is, like you said, very cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't let people just push their motives on me. I don't really take buy-ons. I'm very particular about the lineup that goes on at Michigan Metal Fest and at all of our events. It is not something that I slap out. You know, I reach out, hey, we need 5 bands for this show. Who wants to play? It's very much reaching out to bands particular that I want to play together at a particular event that favors them and favors the people who enjoy them.
That's fair. It's yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I would rather have a set of people that work well together than to have strife that's going on behind the scenes because that can fuck up a whole set, you know?
Yeah.
And
Or just
I,
booking bands because they're bands, like, hey, here's cool bands, sometimes it works, but sometimes it's just you book those cool bands and there's no one who's passionate enough about the actual event to make it pop off.
right. So it's cool to see that you have, all of that going for you. Last year, man, to those who missed it, they missed a hell of a show. Just saying that was badass. And to have been backstage, to have seen how it all worked, which I may have made a boo boo because I had 2 passes. I had media and I had prep and band. So had a boo boo there. There was a miscommunication. But it was still cool to go back and see how everything ran. How the bands were able to set themselves up to get on stage, and everything was just flawless. It was so smooth. Like there were no hiccups, and to be able to run that was cool. And I know that your crew was definitely crucial to that. And then not only that, everybody, after the festival was done, the whole crew stayed up and they helped tear everything down, cleaned up the yard, everything. It was really cool to see. I've been to festivals where people don't do that. They
Yeah,
just leave.
we don't have a paid staff to pick anything up. That's so beautiful that everybody goes into the Arboretum and just, it's like this collective understanding that this is a beautiful place that lends itself to us. And, it's our responsibility to make it just as good as when we got there. There's no excuse, I think, for leaving it trashy or anything like that. These guys are wonderful people. Brett is somebody I can't believe he let me even put it there. The first year that he said yes to it, I was like, I didn't really believe he said yes for a while. I'm like, wait a minute, he just said yes to a huge metal festival with like a decent sized headliner. And so these guys mean the world to me. There's nobody else who opened up their doors to me like them and the Music Factory. These guys let me be myself, and do these things the way that I really want to do them. And that means everything to me. So I think that everybody goes in there kind of understanding that, you know, this is a beautiful place. We got this beautiful opportunity to have a medal day in this gorgeous arboretum. You know, they just let us go in there and act and do whatever we want to do that whole day. You know what I mean? And so that's something to be said. And I think that we all just kind of, at the end of it, it just kicks into us like, all right, let's get everything off the ground, get everything cleaned up, get everything put away. No cigarette butts, no cups, no nothing, man. It's just grass and trees.
And I love that. Because I don't have you ever heard of the band Orbit Culture, perchance?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've hung out with those cats, right? Like, legit, hung out, drank beers, partied, chilled with them. We saw Slipknot together, and everything. And we were walking back from the VIP from seeing Slipknot, and their faces, like their jaws just dropped because of the amount of garbage that was on the ground. And they're like, "Is every festival like this?" I was like, "No, no, I don't think every festival is like this." And lo and behold,
No.
I hadn't really seen what happens after a festival, so that was able to be backed up by watching your crew do what they did and bring the arboretum back to pristine condition was phenomenal. Like, because a lot of festivals don't do that, or they don't do it in the timely manner that the crew and the volunteers did it in. You guys did it in a few hours. You know, some people are hired on for, you know, a whole weekend or something, and they still don't get it done in time. So it was nice to see, you know, and I love watching the growth of the festival. And I know it comes with its hardships. I know that it takes a tax on family life and all of that. I know you guys are always in calls, and it's, you know, I've tried to book shows. I have booked shows, and you
Oh,
know,
I'm
it's
not
not.
hating on that. Like, don't get me
Oh
wrong.
no, no, I'm just saying, like, it's a bitch. It's hard. So I can't even imagine trying to go through, you know, and find all these bands and all that, because a lot of them have guarantees, and you have to, you know, so they have guarantees, they have writers, and they have certain sound techs and certain front of house engineers, and you have to work with all of that because one band may have a completely different setup than the next, and you have
Yes.
to try and work around that in a timely manner, you
Yes.
know. So like, how was your first experience with that? Because I
Oh,
know it was a
terrible.
day and night difference from house party
Yeah.
to festival.
Yeah, the first show we did, the first Michigan Metal Fest, um, you should have heard Devil Drivers managers yelling at us. You know, it was like we just didn't have as experienced of a team then. It wasn't as thick, it wasn't as organized. The stage company wasn't, you know, as good as what we have now. It was just a big combination of things that, you know, it was like I did what I could. That's why I say not to, or that's why I recommend not to do something like this until you've got the perfect storm already available at your fingertips. You've got choices, you know, you're like, I got three stage companies. I'm going to go with the one that has the best reputation around here, you know, things like that. Think quality matters. So that's a lesson that I have learned firsthand over the years, you know, is it really does matter. You can't just get the guys that got a lot of speakers, you know, and the guys that I have a stage, you know, and they can pull it off. You
Hmm.
know, that's about the feeling you get from it versus someone who's coming in doing it every day and they're just gonna kill it, man. They're gonna knock it out of the park and you don't have to worry about that. You know, when I don't have to worry about production anymore, which this was my first year really that I got to that point. I finally didn't have to worry about production anymore. I had my production team in place, and then our actual stage crew is a lot more experienced. Shout out to Scott Hakes. He's been with me every year for Michigan Metal Fest, man. He does a great job. We got in an argument recently. He's a son of a bitch, so am I. I
Yeah,
still
aren't we
love
all?
Scott, you know,
Aren't we
and
all?
that won't change, man. What changes is how we work with each other, speak with each other, communicate in a better, more direct fashion.
Hmm.
Those things matter, man. Expectations will always get you in trouble. You need to have clear communication with people, and you can work these things out. It's night and day difference, you know.
Oh, for sure, man. Communication is key, you know,
But
and uh fuck, who was it? Was it 2, 3 years ago? There was that festival that tried to go off in at a racetrack. Do you recall which one I'm talking about? Okay. So that there is a prime example of what not to do when you run a festival. Let's just say it was FUBAR. And unfortunately, the artist ended up having to help, run the show, which is, and then that artist got sick and had to go to the hospital. Like, it was just a whole bad situation, and so that's your example of what not to do. And now what you should do is follow Steve's example here, and you want to test the waters by throwing on smaller shows and really dipping your feet in the water before just jumping in head first.
for
Um,
years,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
not
you, you
it's
you really should be putting on club shows for a decade. And this is not an exaggeration, unless you are working at a company that throws shows every weekend and you're trained by somebody professionally how to do all this stuff. Don't put it on yourself, man. Don't put it on your family, all your friends around you. It's a huge stressor, if it can't be composed right, you know.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel that. I see that there's another festival that has popped up here in Michigan, which I'm not a big fan of how they've gone about their advertising and public presence. Is it Havoc Fest? Something they got Kitty. That's all I know. They got Kitty, and I'm aware of them getting Kitty because my buddy Dante Delamore is the guy who did the photograph that they've been using for their stuff. And some of the stuff that they've been saying, I'm like, dude, why do you want to create division in the music industry? I would rather everyone unify together for the fans than to create strife and animosity towards each other. That shit is just so unneeded, and I see it happening so fucking much in every musical scene, and I don't understand it. I don't understand why everyone is out to get everybody else. Why can't we all just be one? That is one thing I love about the Music Factory, and everyone who attends, everybody knows everybody and everybody gets along with everybody except
Yeah.
for an exception of maybe one bad apple, but I won't drop their name, but they may know who I'm talking about. But like besides that, everyone just is there for the music. They have a sense of camaraderie, and it was cool because I got on stage with Filth Spewer and I did their photos and stuff because I'm the agent for their vocalist. And so, it was cool because I saw you there. Like you were in the crowd. You weren't in VIP or non-existent. You were there. You were with the crowd, which is cool to see. To actually see people being involved. The showrunners, the people who put it all together, being completely involved and immersed with the crowd, having that one-on-one connection with the crowd. That one conversation or something can really be life-saving to somebody. It can totally change everything that they've ever known, or change their perspective on what they came in thinking was going to be, and it turned out to be completely different.
Yeah, I
So
remember showing up to I remember being at an event for my band, invited by somebody to play it, by a promoter. And I remember playing it, and there's like 30 people there, and it's in a different town, so it's not, I have no control over it. And we brought, like I think 10 people with us.
mhm.
So we brought a third of the crowd to a town that wasn't even near us. And I remember just like thinking, man, this place is just kind of a hole in the wall and no one really cares about this show. And then it was like halfway through the show, the promoter showed up to get money from me for the tickets that I sold. There
See,
was no payout from it. There was no thank you. There was no eye contact, bro. Some of the same people I think that I'm dealing with now, honestly. I,
see,
I I'm running out of the ability to just let any of that affect me. You know what I mean? It's been going on for a while now. What you're talking about particularly, it has been going on for a while now, and it is sad the lengths that people will go through. They will shoot themselves in the foot if they think there's a chance of you slipping in that fucking blood.
Yep.
And you're like, why would you do that when you can just be successful? I've never believed in competition whatsoever, my friend. I don't think that it is out there. Honestly, if people feel desperately like forced to compete with me, I guess good luck.
I mean, yeah, that's really the mentality to have. You believe in your product 150%. So in your eyes, everyone else's product is inferior. And that is the mentality to have if you want to make it in this
I think
very
everyone's
cutthroat
product,
industry.
I think everyone's product is actually wonderful. That's not my point. I just know that I will never stop.
Don't.
I will never slow down. I will never back off. I will always be hitting the gas. I will always be moving forward. You'll always see new ideas from me that no fucking buddy else is doing. Why? Because that's how the fuck I work. You can hate me for it if you want to, or you can support my ass.
Also, you are one of the few people that I see out there that still promotes their shows like every single day. A lot of bands and a lot of venues and stuff will, they'll be like, "Oh, I got this show," and they'll post it once or twice, and then when they actually play the show, they look out and, you just hear crickets. And they're like, "I don't understand." Promotion. You have to promote your product. It's
Yeah.
key to success. It's key. When you dropped the lineup, my whole feed was just blown up with Michigan Metal Fest, and that's truly a sight to behold because that's just awesome. I've only seen one other festival do that, and it's a Danny Wimmer festival, and that was today. As you saw, Slayer came back.
Hell
So
yeah.
everyone's like, "Fucking Slayer," louder than like, whoa. So, that's the only other one that I've
Like we
really
didn't
seen
know it
pull
was
this
gonna
off.
happen though, right?
I mean, come on, it's fucking Slayer. Need we say
How
anymore?
you gonna not be like in a wheelchair and be like, oh, I don't want to do and I don't want to be in Slayer anymore?
It's fucking Slayer, man. Like, there is no competition. And I think Tom Araya felt some sort of way when Kerry went out and made his own band and stuff. He's like,
Yes.
I can't be having him show me up, dude. Like, we're fucking Slayer.
Well, and
You
then
can
he
go to,
admitted he's like basically just gonna write Slayer tunes, So he's like, "Ugh."
right? I mean, think of it though. You can go to any metal show anywhere. I fucking guarantee someone yells out Slayer, you're hearing at least 3 or 4 other people yell out Slayer
Oh, it
everywhere.
happened at that show last night at the Pantera show, man. As soon as I get in the parking ramp, fucking Slayer. Yeah.
And everybody just chimes in.
There was like
Yeah.
6 other people immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, how was that show? Because I'm actually I know the drum tech for Lamb of God. So how did that turn out last night?
Oh, that was phenomenal, man. Lamb of God, Randy still runs around like a 20-year-old man. He's fucking awesome. And then of course, fucking Pantera, man. I've never seen them before. That was the first time for me, and I've never been on. I truly believe a band belongs to its last member living.
That's fair.
I have no qualms with two highly qualified people coming in and covering for the Abbott brothers. It was inspirational, man, to see Zach Wild. He's a beautiful spirit, to see him loving the position he has so much right now and having so much reverence for Dimebag and the legacy in general. It was a magical thing, man. Honestly, I will never ever forget going to see Pantera in 2024.
Oh man, I can't even imagine. I've seen Zach by himself with Black Label Society, and I've seen Phil with Down. And I caught Lamb of God the only time that they will ever have Mark Hunter perform with them. So that was kind of cool. But
That was with
yeah,
Chimera, or you're talking Sin
Mark
Chimera. That
Hunter.
was last year, right?
I want to say it was last year. I think it was either last year or the year prior. But yeah, it was that was just fucking awesome. First off, like I just because I never expected to ever see Mark Hunter out in the wild, I guess. Um, I've always been a Chimera fan, so it's kind of cool to see that they're coming back and doing some things. But to see that was, kind of once in a lifetime. But you got to see like legends, like Wild is a legend in his own right, and fuck. I'm trying to remember who filled in on drums for fucking Vinny.
Oh, it's Anthrax
Ah,
drummer. It's
yeah. Oh, I feel so bad. Is it?
Benedani or something. I don't know. I
Yeah.
forget his name.
I
Uh,
it's a mouthful.
yeah,
So for
yeah.
that, I am sorry to anyone, in the comments. If you guys want to remind me who it is, that'd be cool. Because I'm drawing a blank. Um, but yeah, I mean, I was really excited to see how many people, like, from the committee actually showed up there. Like, I saw you with so many different people, and just so many people who went to the show last weekend pop up there. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like it
Yeah.
again, it's like another little mini family gathering,
Oh,
man.
there was so many people from this area there. It was unreal. Like I'm still hearing from people like, dude, yeah, that show was awesome. Like, damn, you were there too. Running into people from my high school that I didn't even think were into metal. Like, oh, Pantera, bro. It's Pantera. I'm like, wow. And really, if you ask me, it was a $86 ticket.
That's not bad.
And I mean I'm sure you saw about from where I was sitting, like there was nothing wrong with my seats, man. I fucking had a blast, dude, worth every penny. If you guys can get out and see Pantera on this tour, fucking do it, man. Do it, do it, do it. You won't regret it. These guys are out there just nailing it. Absolute beasts, man. Zach Wild, there is nothing that dude can't do.
Oh no. Oh no, man. I last time I saw him, he performed with Down. Uh was it Bury Me in Smoke? I think that's what it was. Anyways, it was right before everyone got rained out. It was in Daytona, at Welcome to Rockville. And it was Phil Anselmo, and Zach Wild just pops up, for Bury Me in Smoke, and does like an 8-minute fucking guitar solo, just out of the blue. No one knew it was coming up. You just see him come striding up, just kind of looking around, gives Phil a hug, and just starts shredding. I'm like, so I was hoping something would come from that, but I didn't really want to get my hopes up, because you can get your hopes up in the scene sometimes, and then you just completely get fucking crushed. So that was really cool to see. I need to see Pantera if I could. I wanted to see them last year. That was not in the cards. So I'm hoping I can catch them sometime around. I do know we have a few big shows coming into the area. I know Avenged Sevenfold will be here in March. And I know that there is a show coming up. The Chaos and Carnage tour is coming back through with
Yes.
the mighty Carnifex. I love Carnifex so much. I'm a
Yeah.
sucker for them. I can't help it. But
I'm
it's
seeing Static X Friday.
ooh, hey, there you go.
At
Did you get
Seven
meet and
Dust.
greets?
No, no, your boy is not into paying money for things, man.
No,
No,
I feel
no,
that.
I had to like I'm so bad. Like, okay, so I haven't gone to a real concert in about probably 15, 20 years. Because I just have always been in a band and that's
Mhm,
kept me very busy. And I was
mhm.
married and all kinds of stuff. So like I just really haven't gone to big concerts in quite a while. We went to Upheaval, a couple of times, but I haven't been in Van Andel in 20 years, man.
Oh wow.
So that was something different for me. I couldn't bring myself. So like I'm just one of those people that's just so work oriented, man. I have a really hard time taking vacations, even the concerts and stuff. I see people going like, "Oh, I wish I would have went to that." Like I don't bring my fingers to order the tickets, you know what I mean? I literally bribed my friends on the committee to get me tickets for this show. I was like, "I'll pay you when you come pick me up, dude." Because I'm just like I'm broken, dude. I'm not gonna actually order these tickets. But I'll go. I'll definitely go. Like not especially now. I think I'm getting back in my groove again. and feeling it like I used to, man. I absolutely was rejuvenated at that show. Got me a nice Pantera fucking tour t-shirt.
Fucking A, man. I love that. Yeah.
Oh,
So
like,
Static X, man. So the Rise of the Machine. Well, I do know one thing. I want to give a shout out to my buddy Kurt. He's running the VIP and all that for Static X. So, dude, you are in for a treat this year with this lineup. It is so fucking killer, man. You are gonna love it. And is it at is it Intersection again?
it's gonna be 20 Monroe Live.
Still, even just as well. It's still not too big of a venue. It still feels pretty personal.
Yep.
Did you get like upper seats, or are you in the pit,
It's
like
a good
general
question.
admission?
I'm not
Oh,
sure.
oh, you're not. Ooh. Okay, so you're in for a surprise either way, man. You're
Yeah.
gonna have fun. I mean, anytime those cats come around, Static X, Dope, Seven Dust, like all of them have been doing this for many, 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 many years. I mean, since I was a little kid. So,
I played with Wayne Static at the last year he was alive. Performed at the same festival as him, and that was an honor, absolute honor, man. And he did such an amazing job. I remember thinking, how in the fuck does he do all of that? Because he's up there playing the guitar and singing. For those of you who didn't know, that was how he did it. That was Wayne Static just playing the guitar, all of the guitar, the leads, everything, and he's singing these parts flawlessly, like how you hear it on the radio. So to watch him just beast his way through that with almost no facial expression, he's just doing his thing. It's like you're watching a music video of him, and he's doing the same things you saw him do on the music video, and he's just flawless. So I saw him then without the rest of the band because obviously back in the day they weren't a band. He went out on his own, Wayne Static, and he represented Static X.
mhm.
So I think it's really cool to see the singer of Dope out there doing such a great job with it. Um, and then I'm excited to see the rest of the band. That's kind of how I think about it. Is it's been a long time, and I'm ready to see the rest of Static X.
Oh yeah, they are flawless. Edsel Zero does such a great job. Which would actually be really cool to try and use that time to kind of judge, because I think they'd make a great addition to the fest. You got Mushroom Head this year, and I know it would be a decent draw, right there, because I mean all three bands are legendary,
Yeah.
you know. And dude, I remember Wayne. I drank with Wayne at Cheers before he passed away, because that was one of his very last stops. Was at Cheers Pub in South Bend. Um, Back in the day, I used to frequent that venue. Unfortunately, I don't anymore, and I missed the family reunion with Jeff and everybody else and Danielle. So I was sad because I was a regular at that venue back in the day. But that's it's it's sad how people the music industry is so hard. It grinds on you so much, and it can lead people down the darkest of alleys. And you can smile and put on a face, but some of the demons that you fight when on the road are just killer, because you're away from family, you're away from what you don't know what you're doing the next day. Like you have like your schedule, but you don't really know who you're going to meet, what you're going to run into, mechanical issues, you know merch. I was talking earlier with a guy who is the founder and single member of the band Fear of Water. We were talking about venues that take merch cuts and all that, and how that really hurts the bands. And I've noticed that your shows don't do that, and that's
Now,
fucking
back it
bad.
up. Back it up.
Wait, do you?
No, what's important to know about merge cuts is that it's not something that happens with mid-level bands, for one thing. So don't let a bunch of local and mid-level bands talk about it extensively unless they've experienced it. And then why did they experience it is the next question.
Right.
So what a lot of people don't understand is when larger bands come through, part of their deal is a merch cut from their contract,
Mm-hmm.
written into their contract that they hand you.
Mm-hmm.
This is their deal, their offering.
Okay.
So there are venues that try to hit bands for merch cuts. That's a different story. But the expression merch cuts shouldn't be something that's looked at as just an evil. That's actually that. Unfortunately, that's one of the ways that these bands leverage with venues. Um, it's not always accepted. It's not always followed through on. But sometimes, and I'll tell you from experience, that could be the one thing that saves you as a promoter from making any money versus none.
Huh.
Soulfly was a great example of that. You guys all saw me put Soulfly in the Music Factory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Minus the merch cuts, I would have broken even on that show. Exactly zero money for selling it out.
Ouch.
Zero. Zero money, Jacob.
That's
Now,
tough, man.
with that merch cut, I made, I think it was like $300.
Man, that's nothing.
And
I
they
mean,
were stoked to hand it to me. You know, at the beginning of the night, he was a little one, the merch guy, because he's not the guy who did the contract. He's like,
right.
what do you mean there's a 20% cut? I'm like, well, it's in your guys' contract. It's not something I wrote up for you, you know. I said, we'll see how the end of the night goes. Like, and we got to the end of the night, and I showed him. I said, this is where I'm at. And he's like, oh shit, dude, we did great on merch. No fucking worries at all. So it's something that should be taken into consideration that promoters aren't monsters most of the time. You know what I mean? Most of the time, they're made to look like monsters because that's the easiest target. You know, I book at a club where I don't make any money off the bar. I only get an opportunity to make money off the door. And when I'm $6,000 in costs,
Oof. Ouch.
just to take that risk to bring that band to everybody, my risk is it has to sell out for me to break even.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's something that's done just to do, man. It's not, there's no money.
No.
I've never made money, man. Metal Fest has made money a few years, and there was one year that we had a partner that made a really bad decision for us, and we lost a lot of money.
Mm.
So it's important to know that a lot of the nuances with payment and things like that there's always two sides to that sword. It's a double-edged sword. You gotta at least know what each side actually has, what each side goes through, what each side has to do to produce this event. Whereas you'll hear it from bands, if they're not making enough money, if they're not making enough money off their guarantee for the evening, there should be no talks of a merch cut.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's
That's the balance there. So a band that's coming through that's getting paid $600,
mm.
fuck no, they shouldn't have a merch cut.
Right. Well,
You know
that
what I
that.
mean?
Oh no, I know what you mean. I wasn't talking about the promoters taking the merch cuts. I was talking about the venues.
Well, I mean that's the same. It can be the same. So a lot of times the venues, that is, they have a built-in promoter,
Right. Live Nation.
or vice versa, Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I
That's who
guess
I'm
I'm
talking about.
saying,
I
yeah.
didn't want to name
So,
drop them, but I'm talking about Live Nation taking the merch cuts, or the pay to plays. Which, okay, I
right,
get. Some
right.
bands, like some bands you have to pay to play with because you instant exposure boost. Like, I get that. But there's also some bands where I'm like, really?
It
Like,
should be about work.
yeah,
It
yeah,
should be about how hard you work. That's how every measure of success should be equatable to how much you've worked.
yes. How much effort you've put into your craft, into your product, what you're doing, you're promoting, you're posting flyers. The good old days of flyers, man, where we
Yeah.
would put them up in bathrooms, we put them at skate parks, we put them. Yeah, see, I mean, next time I see you, I'll grab some of those from you and I'll throw them around and stuff.
I took some up to that Pantera show with me, man. I went in with 100 of them in my pocket, and every person I talked to about it, I asked them if they were all right, with me
hmm
handing one of those. So, would you be interested in one of these? No big deal if not. And everybody that took one was stoked. I was really surprised. I was very happy. Out of those 100 people, 75% of them knew about it already. And I was like, wow, that's so cool, because they're just complete strangers.
hmm
They either follow it online, they have been to it, or they've heard about it. And then there was another demographic that just got really excited about Mushroom Head. And I was really happy about that too, because I've seen Mushroom Head a lot. I could say some people, there's a large demographic of Mushroom Head fans that can say that because Mushroom Head just used to tour a lot, a
hmm
lot. They're a do-it-yourself band, so you saw Mushroom Head around a lot, So that's usually everybody's story is I've seen Mushroom Head a lot, but I think that there's also a huge demographic that hasn't seen them a lot. And I'm starting to experience that right now. I'm starting to see a lot of people who are just stoked about this show. A lot of people that have watched me put on Michigan Metal Fest for years that see me put on more extreme headliners than that, and they kind of
hmm
dodge it. And so a lot of those people, when they saw this lineup, they're like, "Oh, now you got me going to it." And I think if I can get them going, even if they're going just for Mushroom Head because they're scaled a little bit back from the extreme of what we're used to, I think if we
hmm
can go and introduce them to these other extreme bands, that they're not going to be afraid to come back next year. I think if someone goes and watched Mushroom Head this year and they don't know anybody else on the list, I think it'd be safe to say that they could have went last year and seen Born of Osiris and had an amazing time.
Oh yeah, by the way, kudos for landing them because that was such that headliner man was insane. That ended the night perfectly,
The
dude.
glow sticks.
The glow sticks, oh my goodness, the glow sticks everywhere. And then you got on stage at the end and you were chucking them, just chucking them. The whole thing was nothing but glow
Shout
sticks.
out to my assistant again, Ashley, for doing that. She went out during Upon a Burning Body and chucked out thousands of glow sticks. Our plan was not for it to look like Star Wars in there during Born of Osiris. They did that. He was during his first song. He's like, "Let's see them glow sticks," and all of a sudden you just see them just barrage, just flying everywhere. Man, it was so cool. I remember being super impressed by them, but the whole experience right then during that set, it didn't stop the whole set. These glow sticks were flying the entire set, and it was just fucking inspiring, man. It was awesome. That was one of my favorite Michigan Metal Fest moments.
Oh, dude, it was definitely memorable. I had some of those glow sticks for a couple weeks afterwards. It, I've moved since then, so I've lost them, but I'm sure I'll find more things like that. It brings to mind, it was a show that was put on the Michigan Metal Fest after party, if you recall last year. The I don't know who the fuck brought them out, but the noodles, the pool
It was
noodles.
Scott.
That was Scott who brought out the pool noodles.
Yeah, yeah, that was Bloodlust Media that did that. They made sure to put stickers on all of the pool noodles and had a big old party.
Oh yeah, the party was great. I mean, Realm of Shoal was there, so that was kind of cool because I work with them. Bro Job was. Let's just say that got so intense. Natalie, right? Everyone who has been, has seen Phil Spear, Realm of Shoal, or really been in the metal scene knows of Natalie McKay. She became so overwhelmed with Bro Job that she froze and had to headbutt the barricade to bring herself back to reality. So for like 2 days, she had like the hexagonal marks on her forehead from it, which was hilarious. But that you guys are able to bring bands like that and get fans that involved in everything is truly a testament to what you guys have built, over the years to make
Now, to be
everyone feel.
fair, on that show particular, that was Scott's work.
Well, kudos to Scott. I
Yeah,
mean, kudos to you too,
he
because it
put
was.
together that whole show. it was a Michigan Metal Fest after party that him and I worked on the idea of that together, but 100% that was Scott's labor that went into that.
Are you guys doing another one this year? Another after party?
I'm not sure. We do have quite a few shows planned, but I'm not sure if that's going to be one of them or not. Between you and I, we are, and it probably won't happen this year, but we would like to possibly include a Friday night at the event of a little bit more of a personal experience.
That's fair.
I think we'd like to have a bit of a industry feel
Mm-hmm.
night before. We have a lot of sponsors who fly out from all over the country, and a lot of people that fly in early and stuff like that. And I think it'd be really cool just to have a fun night with everybody. That's a lesser crowd, and it's only one stage. Maybe it's just a select number of bands. Just do it in the evening, kind of a little bit of a pre-party.
That's actually a great idea. Danny Wimmer does that, and that really for the campers, and it definitely helps add to the vibe and the feeling of unity by that, because it makes those people who took the time out to be there, it makes them feel more appreciated. So that's a great business strategy. I do know one band wants to they are on the main flyer, Cultus. I talked to them a lot because I've followed L since his Motor Grader days, which says something. But they were now they were wanting to possibly stay and do another show like the following night or something. So there's that. For anyone who hasn't seen Cultus Black, definitely check those cats out, man. Totally fucking worth it. Very unique sound. Very unique sound. And they throw a hell of a show. They're actually my cover photo on my Facebook page, which I fucking love, by the way. Thank you for that, by the way, Steve, because that by far one of my all-time favorite photos is that photo of, L right there interacting with the crowd. That's what it's about. And your photos of you interacting with the crowd, that makes everyone feel so, it makes it that much more personal to them. Because, if you go to like a huge stadium show, how often do you actually get to interact with one of the bands, on that level? Where you get to see the bands walking around and hanging out with everybody else, stopping at the vendors or, whatever, just having a beer with you. You don't get to do that at other festivals. You get to at the Metal Fest. And that is really, really cool. Last year, Raven had her Ravens Rejects and took all of them back and hung out with them. And you found her walking around, or you saw members of Cultus Black walk around. What was it? Was it Traders? I think he was out walking around with the fans. You couldn't miss him, by the way. Giant, like 6 foot tall kid with a NASCAR shirt on. The only person I saw there wearing a giant NASCAR shirt, which was badass, by the way.
Let my dog out while we're talking.
Oh yeah, go ahead, man. But like I really am truly grateful for what you've done for this scene, for the state of Michigan in general, for metal music. You've given a lot of bands, chances that they wouldn't have otherwise for large, scale exposure. Last weekend was Filth Spewer's first ever sold out show. They'd never had a sold out show before. Like that blew their minds that it was sold out. And because they've been doing this for years.
It's important too to get one of the things that we really focus on too is this is why I say don't just throw a show to throw a show. Don't just throw a festival because you either A, think it sounds fun, or B, think you can do it better than somebody else. We focus on crowd retention. So what that means is these people show up early and they go home late. If you noticed, the first band was playing for a sold out show.
Yes.
All the people were there when the first band went on.
Yes.
It's very important to create a vibe that invites that to us. I don't ever want to play in front of a small crowd again. I'll tell you that, Jacob. I think that if I'm going to leave my basement or my garage or wherever it is that my band practices, if I'm going to leave that spot, I want it to be worth it for every person involved, man. I want every band member to feel like we made the right decision. I want the venue to feel like we made the right decision. I want the crowd to feel like they made the right decision. You know, it's very, I really do value that so much, man. I think that letting shows happen that don't get crowds to them is what kills music.
Yeah.
It was happening for a number of years there where, hey, 50 people there, hey man, it's a good turnout. That's not a good turnout. That's not paying the bills for anybody, man. And I hate to
No.
put it that way, but how, venues have to pay bills. I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah.
a brick and mortar place that, I mean, you look at the Music Factory, for example, they need bigger shows, all the time. And they got them now this year. They're getting them. They're getting a lot of shows, if you noticed.
Oh yeah.
Jeff's doing amazing, but COVID took its toll for a while, man. And there was, a lot of fly-by-night promoters, a lot of small-time shows coming through there. And yeah, everybody wants to play on a stage and have a good time, but I think that there has to be a line drawn somewhere with how important is this to you?
Right.
Are you in this to just have a good time and play? Then there's a little bit smaller stage down the road. If you're really in this and you're really serious about it, come play on our stage because we're going to make sure that thing's packed.
And that's what I love about you guys. Is you guys have always thrown ragers. I haven't been to a show that hasn't, been almost to capacity for you guys. Like I haven't. And I've been working with Realm of Sheol for almost 4 years now. And like we've played there a handful of times and it's always been, because we don't really consider ourselves that big, and we've always had a great crowd. We've always had people coming up and speaking to us and, asking, when are you guys coming back? Blah, blah, blah. Like, what is this? Like that's really cool to have that kind of that feeling because
Yeah,
we are a very niche genre of deathcore. Deathcore is a niche genre, unfortunately. I hate to say it, a lot of people don't really know what it is if you're not actually in it for the love of the music, And so it's cool to see people like you and Scott and Papa Jeff. Yes, I call him Papa Jeff. There's a story behind that, but I'll leave that up to my buddy Zach Stepik. Um, and stuff like that. It's really cool to see you guys really giving these smaller artists a bigger platform. And by doing that, you make them work so much harder to promote it and to bring fans and create new fans. And
we do.
that's really important.
We
That's
do.
really, really important.
We push it home with all the bands too. You hit it on the head there. If I have somebody come play, if it's a local band or even, not the headliner or whatever, I'm even the headliner, man. I'm pretty adamant about, make sure you let people know about this. I really don't want to look over and never see your band posting about the show. That'll be the last time I work with you.
Right.
It's nothing against you. It's nothing personal, nothing like that. It really is just a matter of looking out for the best interest of Jeff, the club, or whatever the club may be or the show may be. It has to be successful so that people can keep doing this stuff, man. Everybody always thanks you for doing stuff, but like if you don't ever make any money off it, eventually you're going to get burned out and you're going to have to support yourself somehow. So I think just understanding the economy behind music is important, man. I've always really valued that. That's why I love Metal Fest, is because you can look at it as such a huge day for metal economy. There's so much
Mhm.
money exchanged for that day. I counted it up once. I couldn't believe it. It was like $400,000 one of the years. It wasn't what I made or anything like that. It was exchange of
Mhm.
money there essentially, between all of the bands, between what we paid for the services we needed for it, what everybody else paid for all of their stuff, and then what all the bands were making off of their merch sales. and the arboretum, what they make for what they, it's just like everything all together was this huge number. And I was like, wow, what an incredible economy boost for our people. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like that's just such a wonderful thing to think about. And the bands, some of the bands at Metal Fest, they make a ton of money, dude. It's crazy how much merch sales. Oh, at that show you were just at,
Hmm.
I don't want to like speak these guys as business or anything, but like one of the bands made, not the headliner, made over $1,000.
That's that's nuts. And that's awesome though. Like that right there is so cool to see because everyone thoroughly enjoyed them.
Yeah.
And
I've
and
heard bands making 10,000 at Metal Fest off merch.
oh, I definitely believe it. I hope to see all the bands make, large dividends this year. They all deserve it. This is people who play music like play music. It's not just a passing fad for them. It's not just, a
Mhm.
popularity thing. They do
No.
it because they want it to be a career. They
Yeah.
thoroughly love what they do and they put their blood, sweat, and tears into it legitimately. That's not a euphemism. That is real life
Yeah.
blood, sweat, tears into their craft. This is a lifestyle. This is a career for them. They want to make it big and you give them like the perfect platform and then you have badass, videographers and stuff who show up. You have Pixel Page, who is absolutely phenomenal. You have Chevy, who
Yeah.
shows up, who is also absolutely phenomenal. And then you also have your street team who, does a stellar job of letting everybody know what's up. And then you have everyone on the internet too, who's interacting with everybody else, who's sharing the flyers, talking about the bands, and hyping it up and all that. And this isn't just something that has come overnight. This is from years and years of work and trial and error. As you said, you can't just jump in from doing a few shows and then doing a festival. Like you learned, but in your process of learning, look how much it's flourished. Look at the feeling of community, not even the feeling of community, the community that you have helped establish and create in this area. It's awesome. And you bring bands in from everywhere, which makes it even better. I mean, Vorath is from North Carolina. Like that's insanely far. That's on the other side of the country. And you have bands coming from North Carolina, Florida, wherever, Kentucky and stuff. They're just all coming up to play the Michigan Metal Fest. Like it's not just the Metal Fest, it's the Michigan Metal Fest. That's awesome. Like that is completely awesome. And now I see other states are starting to try and emulate what you're doing. Now you have like the indie metal fest and things like that. Like you have set a standard, a precedent of what it is to throw a festival having started at the bottom, literally, and built your way up to where people all around know who you guys are. Like that's awesome to me. Like I thoroughly love that. And it's because of your guys' true love of music. Like you know, that's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah, absolutely, man. North Carolina, yeah. So speaking of which, that was our last two shows, because I think Phil from North Carolina too.
Uh I think Filth is and I think Cultus Black is from around that same
Yeah,
area
yeah,
too.
yeah. These guys got such a crazy cool network down there. It's accident that I came across all of them. I came across all of them separately from different relationships with other people that I have in the industry. And so it's really funny how this culmination of bands has come together. And that state, the bands from that state just love the shit out of this state right now. They're feeling the love because we had, with Filth, we had Filth here December for our Dark Christmas event, and that
Yep.
sold out as well. So we've had two sold out shows in a row for Michigan Metal Fest. Um, that's awesome, man. And
Yeah.
like you said, for a band to experience that, I've never experienced it until that Filth show. My band got to play that one too. Um, But a lot of people thought we were going to play at this last show. I don't really know where they got that idea, but I had 4 different people calling to me. When's your band going on? I'm not. I think there's still a small percentage of people that think I'm just promoting for my band, maybe, and like when I'm promoting a show that it means my band's on it. I don't really know. But yeah, there's a decent amount of people that thought we were playing that night. But when you get that full, huge crowd packed from front to back, side to side, you feel that magic. The whole crowd is in your hand at that point. And then not only that, but you're leaving that venue with the money that you need as a band. It is not, again, it's not a game for some of these people. You hit it right on the head, Jacob. There's so many people that they want to say from a sweet point of view that it's all about the music. Well, I play music, so I deserve to get paid at a show. That's one of the misconceptions that's gone on for too long. You don't deserve to get paid until you are in demand.
Right. Exactly.
It's supply and demand, just like any other industry in the world. You can play for fun all you want to on your own accord. But when it comes to these shows, the bands I would like to represent are the bands that are working very hard and trying to make it their actual lifestyle. These are the bands I support, and I want to put them in full venues so that it doesn't even matter. Like, they're going to get paid by me for being there. But on top of that, let's say they don't. Or let's say just whatever they do. So but the merch alone for having a sold out show and then being able just to be a great band playing at a sold out show, you're going to sell a bunch of merch no matter what. So that's the end game for all of this is everybody gets a stop on either their tour or, if they're a local, then they come around a couple of times a year to that venue and they really promote really hard for that one spot. And it works out great for everybody involved.
Oh, yeah. And which ones are trying to. And the way I look at it is if you're one of those bands that are just like, oh, we played, we deserve to get paid. No, like these people go and spend their hard-earned money that they worked hard over, that could go towards other things to pay to get into this venue to see these bands. So you better be damn good at what you're doing. You better be in it, because you enjoy it, but because it's a business.
Yeah.
Because it is a business.
Right. And like, let's say there's, 4 bands at a show and none of them promote.
You're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself and you're hurting the venue. And then they're going to show up and they're going to be mad at the venue. Well, why don't we have a whole lot of people? Because you didn't do your fucking job.
Right. And a lot of venues have a hard time promoting at the capacity that they really truly need to. And I'm saying, I say have a hard time because I don't know their situation. I never will claim to. All I know is mine.
Right. That's fair. That's fair. And that's I've seen so many bands come and go over the last few years. They instantly think that they're going to make it big. Oh, I got to play this venue. I'm going to be huge now. Like, no. You have to keep working. You have to work your way up the corporate ladder. You want to be a headliner? You don't want to be an opening act? Well, I'm sorry, dude, but you have to earn that shit. You have to earn playing in front of 2 or 3 people, before you can play in front of a crowd of, 4, 5, 600 people, or even bigger. You have to earn it. It's not just going to be handed to you. The perfect example of that, and I absolutely fucking love him for that, is Corey Taylor's son and the band Vended. Yeah. I absolutely love that they didn't have anything fucking handed to them, and they didn't want anything handed to them. They wanted to earn it. They're still out touring in a van, and shit like that. I mean, like, their dads are rock and metal gods, but they're like, no, we don't fucking want a giant tour bus. We're we're gonna do it the old school way, you know. And I really appreciate that, you know, with people. And I've, you know, the bands that have been there want it all the more.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to Corey and you know the other parents for
Sean and all them, yeah.
yeah, man. See, I think that's a testament to how they raise their kids, you know. It's like I'm sure you saw my daughter with me at the show
I did.
last weekend, man, and
Yep.
you know that is something I wasn't expecting out of my kids. I never pushed music on them at all, in any form, you know, and like you should, none of that, you know. I really, I do my thing. I let them see me be a human
Hmm.
all the time, and I let them decide what they want to do, you know. And my son, he likes going to concerts, but he doesn't like the crowds. So when it's a busy show, you won't see him there, you know,
Fair.
which is sad because I'm doing better with the shows now. So I'm gonna have to throw like a flop one of these days just to get my boy out to it, you know what I'm saying? But my daughter is like all about it, like to the extreme. She told me probably 25 times that night how she was having the best time in the world. And she loves the Music Factory and you're the best dad. You're the best dad. And I'm like, oh my goodness, Lissa, just, you know, you make this so amazing, man. It's already just such a blessing to be around so many people who are so wonderful. This metal community is unlike any other family unit I've ever had or been a part of. We're all there for each other in a genuine kind of way, you know. Like when you said earlier, you know, why cause a division? I'm 100% with that. You know, I don't think that there should be a division amongst anybody. I think that there is no competition again. I think that everybody has room to do their very best and blossom into whatever they're destined to be.
I agree with
Um,
that
I'm not going to get
150.
in anybody's way, you know.
No.
Um, People have tried to get in my way, and I don't really know if it's just an animosity thing or you know, I say jealousy not as a condescending thing to throw out, but I just say I it's just an observation, I think. It's the general consensus that I've heard from people when trying to figure out what's beef. um, you know, and as far as I'm concerned, there is no beef because no matter what, like I said, I'm gonna always go on with what I do. I'm gonna keep getting better at it because it's important to me to get better at my craft no matter what it is. I enjoy getting better at things so that other people can appreciate more in this world. That is my motivation. It's
I
not to attain anything. It's not to achieve a certain status. It's not to have a certain amount of goods. It is only to live comfortably in it could be a piece of crap home for all I care, as long as my bones feel good and I can smile and the people around me are happy. I really want that, man.
I agree with that 100%. You know, going back to the unity and division topic, you know, which we've been on for a minute. People were asking me because I'm known as Dylan's Blind Photography. You know, I shoot the big shows. You know, I shoot the baby metals. I shoot for Korn. I do Chevelle and Meshuggah and In Flames. Like I'm that guy. And you know, a lot of the people also see me with Filspure and Realm of Shoal and other local shows. And it was weird to be at this show last weekend and have people come up to me and be like, "Where's your camera?" Like, well, I'm not photographing today. Like that's not what I'm here for. You know, I will do the few little photos for Phil's viewer, and even then, I wasn't there for me to toot my horn and make myself bigger and be like, "Ooh, look at me." I thoroughly enjoyed watching everyone else with their cameras out, taking those shots, looking at all the shots that everyone got, and just seeing their post blow the fuck up. Made me feel so happy for them. You know, it truly warmed my heart because in the photography world, it's really cutthroat. You know, like on some shows like Baby Metal and stuff, there's only like I think there was only three of us. Three photographers for Death Clock and Baby Metal and Jason Richardson. I was one of the three, right? Which was surreal to me because I've only been doing photography for 2 years, you know, so it's like, wow, you know, but I've built a name. You know, would I have loved to have been shooting next to Pixel Page? Fuck yeah, I would have. But I also didn't want to try and steal anyone else's shine. You know, I had another job to do, you know, and so I'm waiting. Oh man, I can't wait to see her photos when they come out. I can't wait to see, you know, everyone's photos. I've seen Deadbeats come out, but now I'm waiting to see everyone else's,
Yeah, they
which
were up.
those were phenomenal, by the way. Like,
Yeah. Pixels leave
kudos.
in suspense, you know what I mean?
Oh, dude, yes, because there's that stupid photo of me being lifted into the air by Scott at the end during the whole group photo, and I am so glad I don't have a Napoleon complex because I'm short as shit, and Scott is tall as hell, and he just lifts me and tosses me around like a ragdoll. So yeah, I'm sure everyone will see that photo of him. It almost looks like he's fondling me in the air, which was absolutely great. Um, but your Metal Fest actually brought together Natalie McKay and the singer for Vorath, because I was running all around that festival last year, and I even ran into you asking if you could help. I want to get all of the female-fronted bands together for a photo with Raven, because Raven wanted it. You know, I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. You know, like that would be fucking awesome. Get, you know, Raven and um, you know, everyone from Casket Robbery and Vorath and Phil Spear, and just get everyone together for that photo. Because I know we used to do the Miss that fucking tongue twister there, Miss Michigan Metal. Fuck, that's a lot of M's, by the way. You know, which I thought was cool, but you know, at the same time, it could cause issues too, I guess. So like I can kind of see why it may have went to the wayward with that one. Because you know some people are gonna be like, "Well, I'm better than you. She shouldn't have gotten it." Yeah, fuck it. It's all about metal. It's all about music.
Yeah, it was a cool event when it was there, and it yielded a couple of really good results, you know, and a couple of not so great results. But the main theme of it is that it was uh, too many variables, and also it created a competition, like you said, between women or people in general that I think that is not needed. We enjoyed it while it was there, but after a while, I got a little bit tired of seeing people get their hearts broke
Yes.
for not winning, and I'm a big empath, so I don't particularly like that when someone's sad. You know, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like why? You know, and then and you also are subject to whatever that person has going on for that year in their life. So if they're having a
Hmm.
good year, you might get a good person out of it, and if a good year, then it might be a hard year for everybody, you know. And it's like inviting a new family member in every year randomly, and let
Yeah.
someone else pick them.
Yes.
You
That
know,
that
so
makes
that it
sense.
works out sometimes, and other times it's tough, and it's tough on everybody. You know, it's not just tough on us; it's tough on the candidates too. Not understanding exactly what to do sometimes because it's just different from what they're used to. So it became, and it was also between you and I, it was a very taxing event on me. It was one of probably the hardest thing to put together because it's the entire night is scripted. Um,
Oh.
not who wins, but like
Well, right. I figured that.
the entire layout of it. Like it's all on a timeline. It's right down to, the minute. Like we
Oof.
start at the beginning, and there's a raffle that works in between all of the bands. There's hosting that goes in between. The sound guy has a day sheet. The host has a day sheet. The judges have a day sheet. I have a day sheet. Jeff has a day sheet. They're all different.
Hmm.
They're all made just for that person. And then there's a script for it. And then there's a day sheet for the actual event, like when they're up on stage. and then there's event criteria. There's it just the list goes on. I go there with 10 pieces of paper,
Oof.
and I'm like, I don't really like to host things. Like, I might look all right up there on stage, but like, I'm not unless my band is there. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
when my band's up there, I'm like, "Ugh, what's up, motherfucker?" And no stopping me, man. But when I'm holding the mic and I got a little piece of paper and there's these women standing behind me and I'm supposed to be just this thing, this host, and it's weird, man. It was a rough thing for me to go through each time. And I don't think it got any better each time I did it. It would be like it was a year from the last time I did it. Now I'm like, I don't even got a groove. Like by the end of the evening, I got a groove, right?
Yeah.
Then you wait a year to do it again. You don't got no groove again.
Yeah, see that is what makes me happy that I don't do what you have to do. Like for real, I am so glad that I just work with the artist, I don't have to set up the whole show. I'm just like, all right, guys, uh, we have 10 minutes till showtime. All right, we have 3 minutes left. All right, guys, we gotta go. Like that's it. That's my job. Whatever. You have this whole list, and everyone
Totally.
that works with you has a whole list. I'm just like,
Yep.
I'd be
Yep.
pulling my hair out, man. I couldn't do it. And I mean, I have a lot of hair to pull. So it would not be fun for me at all by any means. You did do very well the other night, though. You and Mandy back and forth killed it. Good
No, that
job,
was
you
that
guys.
was chill. So we didn't have a script. Mandy had a few things planned that she wanted to do, which is standard for Mandy. She
Yep.
makes sure that she has, everything covered. She's definitely on the ball. Much love, Mandy. Her and I are two peas in a pod, man. We've been very good friends ever since well, quickly on her. She wasn't ever into that kind of thing before, and she wasn't going to compete. She actually um, would come to shows a lot, but in words of her, she was a wallflower. Before she'd come to shows and she'd kind of watch, and she was a little shy.
Mm-hmm.
And she came to the first Miss Michigan medal competition, and we had been promoting it for a while,
Mm-hmm.
for a couple of months, and all of the contestants were promoting themselves as well. So Mandy showed up all did up, and she
Mm-hmm.
never had done that really before at a show. And she was helping us with the raffle. So I was like really excited. I'm like, hell yeah, man. Thank you so much for helping with this. I didn't know her very well, you know what I mean? And so I just noticed that she was did up. She was all her hair was like, I don't know if it was freshly dyed but it was like extra black. Her makeup was on point. She had this, battle vest on, and she just looked really good. You know what I'm saying? She looked like she looked like she came there to compete.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And she didn't. And I was like, hey, so you getting up on stage later? She goes, what? I go, yeah, man, like you look like you're dressed for it. And she's like, oh, no, no way. And she's like, you think I should? And I was like, "Psh, absolutely, dude. I do think you should. And you know, I was just being a supportive friend, you know what I mean? Like she looked like she dressed for it and she was a metalhead. So, and I wanted, I was the event coordinator. So I'm like, more contestants. Yes. Yes, man. They go compete. And she went up and she did a great job. She sang like some Slipknot a little bit, and she didn't place that year. There was the three top prizes, and she didn't place. And so I just like, I didn't really think much of it. She took it well, very well. Some women did, and some women didn't. It was some of them. It was very angry if they didn't win, or it had to be rigged in some kind of way or something. It was. But Mandy took it really well, and then I found out. So then fast forward a year later to 2019, and we have the Miss Michigan Medal contest, and she is in it. And then I talked to her that night and find out that she had been training for this for the last year. And she went and took legit vocal lessons so that her medal vocals up on stage mattered. And she had just been going to shows all the time, beating the streets, getting people to know her. And then went up there and just was animated and on it. And she did better clearly than everyone on stage. When she won, we used to judge people by the volume. We actually had the meter or whatever, you know, that tests the volume of the room. So the first year that we had that get pretty high, you know, from people being really loud. But when Mandy won, it hurt my fucking ear. There's video of me actually when everybody screamed for her, the needle went all the way up. And there's video of me backing away from the audience with my hand on my ear because it hurt how loud they were. And she won with flying colors, and she ended up doing amazing. As everybody knows, she set the bar for that whole entire franchise, you know. And I think for people in general, I think that bands could look up to her. I think that entrepreneurs can look up to her. I think that all around you can look at her hard work mixed with cheerleader attitude that just is untouchable.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, she now works for Q106, Win 98.5. This girl's gone on to awesome things because she didn't take no for an answer, and she didn't slow down. You know, this is a woman who, at the same age as me, she's got her home paid for all the way. You know, you look back at people sometimes and think that they're just a metalhead showing up to a show, but you know, some of these people I feel like really just got their stuff together and they've just been waiting for a chance to show that to the world. Mandy was one of those people. I'm so glad she stepped off that piece of wallpaper, man.
Oh yeah, dude. I agree with that. That woman is her attitude is infectious. Her energy is infectious. And I absolutely love that. And I love that many people in our scene, um, you know, it just it it's just it makes my heart feel full. I was trying to think of a word, but I couldn't really find one, so fuck it. That's what I'm gonna say. You know, it fills my heart with joy to see everyone, you know, interacting with each other with that passion, that energy, that love for the scene and for everyone else in it. I was hoping to see you at Denny's the other night. Unfortunately, I did not, but you had your daughter.
Yes,
Your
my
father.
daughter said no.
Responsibilities.
That was the official no from my daughter to going to Denny's. This was how it went. Hey, baby, you want to go to Denny's? That was me. And here's
Mhm.
Lissa. No, I want to go home. Like she's like, I'm 12, Dad. I have been out here all night. It's midnight. We're going home, bro.
I feel that. It was funny as shit because Scott was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go home. I broke my toe the night before. I'm gonna go home." And so Natalie and I were okay, you know, and I was like, you know, I think we're gonna go to Denny's with Scott Carpenter of Realm of Shoal, and his friend was with him too, Kelsey and everything, and you know they're like, we're gonna go to Denny's. I was like, we'll go there too. You know, we have like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive to get back to where we are, so that's you know might as well you know fuel up before we go. So we get in there and Scott jumps up and I'm like, and there's the entire Michigan Metal Fest family there. You know, we had BMF, you know, there. We had Mandy was there. You know, most of the committee was there. So we're like, oh, and then Scott's there, and I'm like, you son of a bitch. You said you were going home. He's
And
like, oh
Borath
well,
was there too, right?
they showed up after Natalie and I were there. Yeah, actually, I lost my wallet because my pants, when I go to shows, I sometimes wear pants with very small pockets. Unfortunately, if pants look good and they're metal pants, you don't usually have pockets. Sucks. But I lost my wallet, and their drummer got a hold of me. He called me on Facebook, and then the server called me on Facebook. I'm like, how the fuck did you even find me? And then, people pointed out, dude, you had eyeliner on, and you had the whole smoky eye thing going on. Like you kind of stood out. I was like, fair. That's fair. But yeah, that was crazy just to see the feeling of camaraderie. It didn't just end at the show.
Yeah.
Everyone didn't just go home and go to their separate lives. They wanted one last little meetup, and that was really really cool to see because I've been in a lot of musical scenes. I've traveled the country many, many times, and I have still yet to find another one that is as inclusive as this one is. Is very
Yeah.
inclusive. And
Beautiful thing, man.
I actually was thanked by a kid earlier today. You may know him. I will give him a shout out because he's a sweetheart. He has the biggest heart. David Jones. Um, that kid, love that kid. He never really felt like he belonged until he showed up into the metal scene, like our metal scene. He was like, "Man, I have never felt so accepted and so loved by any scene in my life. Like there's no judgment from any of you guys. You guys have just welcomed me with open arms and haven't judged me at all or anything." I was like, that really warms my heart to for you to say that because that's really what we originally all were. Most metalheads were outcasts, and we created this form of music to, rebel and let everyone know how we felt. So it's really cool to see everyone so accepting of everyone from all walks of life. And
Yeah.
I really love that he feels he can come to the music factory and come to us and hang out with us and just feels like he's part of the family. That's
It is
that is the
definitely.
best feeling.
Yeah, I think that I don't think that there's anybody who doesn't belong, man, honestly. And as the years go on, metal becomes more palatable to the whole world. I think that's why it's becoming easier and easier to fill these shows and to do, if you'd have told me 15 years ago that metal shows were going to be getting the most packed than anything, I wouldn't have believed you. And then even like this local scene, like 10 years ago and beyond, it was rock music in clubs.
Hmm.
That way, especially bands, local bands. There was not very many places that metal bands could shine. It was really weird. And then over the years, you start to get more and more. But like what I noticed again, is that I think this is why I gravitate toward metal is it's the hardest working genre.
Oh
You
yeah.
you nailed it when you said we were outcasts and we made it to rebel. Then we had to fight our way to the top.
Yep.
And that's where it feels the best to be is at a spot that we have built, a spot that we had to work for. I'll always stand on that, man. I stand on that 100%. I think there needs to be a damn foundation of fucking understanding, compassion, and hard work. You got those things, man, put them all together and you're always going to be successful.
Exactly. Well, with that, man, I want to thank you for all of your time. I know that you have work tomorrow because Steve runs his own landscaping company. So check that out if you ever need
Escapes landscape and
landscaping done.
design, baby.
There you go. You ever need landscaping done? Get a hold of Steve Maple. He'll get your shit right for you. Guarantee it. All right, man. Um, with that, I want to thank you. And this has been Music with Jake. And I have been speaking with the founder of the Michigan Metal Fest, Steve Maple. All right.